Good afternoon. I'm Gustavo Enriquez. And back in the day, in the 1940s, this world could have been a Nazi world. Imagine living in a world where Hitler is the main leader, where Heil Hitler replaces the Star Spangled Banner, and where we probably all speak German. Imagine what a world that would be. Very different. So today, I want to inform you about the code breakings that helped the Allies win World War II. And the main ideas I will come across today are JN-25 and Enigma. So, the first point is JN-25. In World War II, the Japanese communicated with that JN-25 code, a code that the US tried to crack, as stated by Elliot Carlson in his book Joe Rochefort's War, The Odyssey of the Codebreaker Who Outwitted Yamamoto at Midway. And the first point in JN-25 today is the objective. JN-25, as said before, was the radio code most widely used by the Japanese Navy, and they would send encrypted messages without being deciphered. O'Neill states that, quote, JN-25 was a codebook with at least 33,000 words, letters, and phrases, end quote. JN-25 helped Japanese officials transfer encrypted intel, data, and messages to help win in the Pacific. And which that leads us to our second point, and that is Station Hypo. As JN-25 was the radio code that was mostly used by the Navy, the Americans had to set up an effort against it. Joseph Rochefort was chosen to lead that effort, dubbed Station Hypo. In Japanese messages that were intercepted, they stated that there was a target that they were going to attack, and it was called by these initials, AF. So Rochefort thought that the target was at Midway Island, so he proposed a trick to confirm. He made the forces out there on Midway Island send out a message that their saltwater evaporators had broken down. Days later, they intercepted a message from the Japanese Navy saying that AF was out of fresh water. That now leads to the knowledge of Admiral Yamamoto's next attack. And that will lead us to our next point, which is the result. Joseph Rochefort's ruse led to Admiral Chester Nimitz's masterclass of a battle and sunk all 4 of Yamamoto's aircraft carriers, crushing the backbone of the Japanese Navy and effectively turning the tide of war. And which now leads us to our second point, and that is Enigma. So JN-25 and Enigma were codes used by the Japanese, which was JN-25, and Enigma was used by the Germans. So the Enigma machine was crucial to the German success in conquering most of Europe, with an empire stretching from France to Greece to Russia. This code was also crucial in the success of the Allies' counterattack of mainland Europe. And the first point of Enigma is the objective. The Enigma machine was basically a typewriter with rotors that turn each letter in a message into a random letter multiple times through the rotors, creating an encrypted message that is protected from any decryption. its code was practically unbreakable. They were able to communicate battle plans and offensives with complete freedom. The fluid communication allowed Germany to sweep through Europe in a record time. So that now leads us to our second point, and that is Alan Turing and Bletchley Park. The biggest factor in the code breaking of Enigma was Alan Turing and his team at Bletchley Park. The bomb was Turing's masterpiece. It was a machine that used logic to dismiss certain possibilities, as Arthur Conan Doyle said, quote, "When you have excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth," end quote. It eliminated all the impossible outcomes and narrowed the possibilities down to be able to find the right combination. And eventually, the machine helped crack Enigma. And that now leads us to our third point, and that is the counterattack. In due time, the fatal flaws in the Germans' use of Enigma would come to light. Enigma was cracked, and 211 bomb machines were built to decipher and translate German messages. They cracked millions of messages by the end of the war, helping the Allies snatch European control from the Germans. So, I hope that this information you learned today helps you understand how crucial the code breakings of JN-25 and Enigma were to our victory in World War II. So, today, I wanted to inform you, as I said before, about the code breakthroughs that helped the Allies win the war. And the 2 points that we went across were JN-25 and Enigma. So, as I said before, think about how the world would be if the Nazis won. What do you think would have happened when they won? What would change? What would stay the same? What would the global landscape be? How would that affect our lives? Would we be the same people? How would our lives be now? It had the Nazis won in World War II. Thank you.